Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of our Everybody's Welcome podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Sturgis, and to my right here is our producer, Clay Howard, and we are super excited to be joining us today for our very first episode. And on our very first episode, we have Dr. Heidi Eliopoulos, and who is the school superintendent here at Chippewa Falls. And I want to welcome you to this podcast, and a podcast that's created specifically for you, to help you make connections with people in our city, people who make the city what this city is. And we believe that every person has a story to tell, and everybody's welcome. Welcome everyone who's either watching or listening online to this episode. And as you know, what drives this podcast is us wanting to highlight people in this community who make a wonderful impact in our community. And so I've been looking forward to this podcast for a very long time because I have known Heidi now for about 5 years. And Heidi is someone who I just really look up to because of her leadership and her passion for the city of Chippewa. So welcome, Heidi, and thanks for being here with us today.
Well, thank you. I'm incredibly excited to be here.
Good. First off, I have to ask, because I think it topped maybe 25 today in November. What do you think of this weather?
Well, I got up this morning and I looked around outside and I thought, you know what? I didn't have to cancel school today, so we're already doing better than last year.
Were you a little nervous yesterday, was it, when we had the snow?
I think it's kind of an emotional reaction from everything from last winter, but I felt pretty confident we're going to make it a little bit longer.
You didn't break out in hives like, oh, man.
No, I did not set the 3 a.m. alarm clock yet either.
Oh, man. So, well, it's so great to have you, and I just hope are you doing well today? Like,
yeah.
The life of a leader.
It's a great day.
Okay.
It's a great day.
Good. And are you done with your day yet?
No, I would say I'm about halfway through the day right now, but it's the second half's going to be great as well.
That's awesome. Hey, so why don't you start? So the purpose, what we want to do is we just want to highlight you, and really what we also want to do is we want to give maybe a little glimpse into Heidi that we don't necessarily see every day, right?
Sure,
because same goes with the pastor, oh, that's pastor, but do we know much about pastor outside of being a pastor? So we kind of want to know more about Heidi outside of school superintendent. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your life, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you got it. So I've lived here in Chippewa for about 35 years. I grew up the daughter of a firefighter and a church secretary.
Oh, yeah.
I went through our public school system. So I went to Homestead Elementary School, the middle school, the high school. Went to college right at Eau Claire, so very close by. I've worked in 4 different school districts. About 12 years ago, I got married to a gentleman by the name of George, who's a police officer. Our family is very much a service family. So I mentioned my dad and my mom, but my middle brother's a hydrologist. So he is right now working on restoring and doing an improvement project for the river in Austin, Texas. He's working with the community to design man-made lakes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Different type of service.
Man.
Yeah.
And then my youngest brother is also in law enforcement, and my sister-in-law is a social worker. So our family get-togethers are very, very safe.
Yep.
But we also have a lot of great stories to tell, and it's just families, everything to me. It's a very big part of my life, and it's a big part of who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you meet your husband?
Yeah. So we were introduced by mutual friends. We had friends who were married, and we would get together, go to social outings, and we'd notice that there were only 2 single people who coincidentally had been in the same social work group. So I guess, I don't know, is it wrong to say we kind of met each other by default, maybe?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How long did it take for you to get used to his last name?
A long time. I still mess it up every now and then. Slow down, lots of syllables, lots of vowels. So it took a little while. Once I got engaged, my mom committed to learning how to spell it. So after that, she figured she'd better commit.
That is awesome. So you and I have kind of a connection.
Yeah.
And Clay, I don't know if you knew this.
I don't have a connection.
You don't have a connection, but
you guys do.
We do.
Okay.
So we moved into our house 6 years ago, and across the street was this gentleman, and he had a really long beard, and he was wearing Carhartt. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Anyways, I get to know him really well, and his family, and then their children are my children's age, and we went to one of the first kind of like friend birthday, and we're hanging out, and I see you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's the connection? Then we put two and two together. So her brother lives across the street from me. So that was like the first connection. It was kind of like, okay, this is kind of cool. But then we found out, why don't you share with them everything that this weird connection?
Yeah, so we are months apart in age. Went to the same college and got married the exact same day. Not the same date, the same day.
Same day.
Wow.
Not to each other, to other people.
Yes.
Yes, October,
other parties.
or not October, excuse me, June 23rd.
Good job.
2007.
Yep.
Boom.
Wow, you guys are
Shout out
very
to my
similar.
wife if she listens. I just remembered that.
Does she listen?
She does listen.
She listens. Okay. Good.
Okay. Well, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. My question. Okay, so I'm 40 or 41. You're 40.
I'm 40.
You're 40, going to be 41.
Yep.
You're a school superintendent.
Did
you ever think? I mean, was that ever like, that's what I want to do?
Oh, definitely not.
No.
I would say growing up, I don't even know if I knew what a superintendent was. I might not still know what a superintendent's supposed to do, but I am one. I've been for 5 years. So
Yeah. Yeah. So so you went to UW Eau Claire.
I did.
Your undergrad was in what?
English education.
Cool. Did you get in and out in 4 years?
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, plus summers and winter and
Yeah. So how would you describe you as a college student?
I was really focused. When people talk about the college experience and meeting new people, honestly, I didn't do any of that. It was a means to an end for me.
Yeah.
I was the first person in my family or extended family to go to college. I'm the oldest of my cousins, so it was just me beginning off with, and I was really intimidated. So I lived at home. I drove to campus. I drove home. I was in and out, and I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I knew that very early on, and so going to college was how I was going to become a teacher.
Yeah. So UW Eau Claire undergrad. So you became a teacher. Where was your first teaching gig?
Yeah, I was an English teacher at Eau Claire North High School.
Oh, cool.
It was an awesome experience, awesome start. I learned a lot. And it was actually one of the assistant principals. So I was the teacher who, oh, you need somebody to run homecoming? I'll do that. Oh, you need somebody to do prom? I'll do that. You need someone to start a freshman transition program? Sure, I'll do that. So I got very involved in the school population and the school culture. And it was an assistant principal who said, you know, you should maybe go into administration, which is that I was going to teach for 40 years.
Yeah.
That wasn't on my radar at all.
And so then, okay, so they gave you that little nudge.
Yeah.
And then, so you went and got your master's. Where'd you get your master's at?
UW Superior.
Okay. Yeah, Superior.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be there physically, though,
Nope.
did you?
There were residency requirements, but I could do them in the summer.
Okay.
So here I am, living in a dorm.
Yep.
For the first time in my life for my master's degree. And
what? So you come out. Where was your first principal gig?
Yeah. So little known, my very first administrative job. So at that time, there were a lot of applicants for administrative jobs. I mean, 60 to 80 applicants. And so with no experience, there weren't a lot of people really interested in taking a risk on you. I didn't even get interviews. So I had gotten 2 different interviews, was turned down for the job, and thought something for some reason caught my eye. And though it was not part of my career goals, I ended up being the athletic director and dean of students in Durand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then where did you go for your doctorate?
I went to the University of Nebraska, Lincoln.
Cornhusker?
Yeah, Cornhuskers. That's right.
That's awesome.
Which was amazing. That
Yeah.
was amazing.
And how long did that take you?
Gosh, front to back, I'm thinking 4 years, including writing my dissertation.
Okay.
So that was a lot online, but it was blended. So I would have to travel to Lincoln about 4 times a year. They were very accommodating. So it would be Saturday. So when you came to town, it was Friday night to Sunday night, and they filled up your time. And then when I was writing my dissertation in the summer, I would go down for multiple day stretches and just start at 7 in the morning and work until 7 at night. And George would go golf on their beautiful golf courses, and I would write in this room overlooking the football stadium. And
Wow.
yeah, Lincoln is an amazing
Unreal.
place.
Unreal. So, man, you're kind of a go, 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 go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do you ever slow? I mean, what does a slow
Yeah.
pace kind of day look like for
Yep.
Heidi?
So I've started to slow down a little more by being deliberate.
Okay.
I've deliberately, Holly Hakes, who is someone I adore, she always says that you need to schedule time for the things that you love so that you're not always putting yourself last. So things that I love to do is I love hiking. I love being outdoors. We have a boat, and we don't even need to fish. I just want to float. You know, there's something
Yeah.
about pushing off of the shore and losing cell service that's it's forced
Yes.
relaxation.
Yes, getting
we
off
just,
the grid.
Yeah, we float and we talk about what's going on now. We talk about the future. So those are my quiet days. In the winter, we have a freestanding wood stove in our living room, so I like to make a fire, and I'm the aunt who makes birthday cakes, so I like to do that. And
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So we're going to do a little something with you.
all right,
now.
perfect.
So I'm going to give you 2 things, and you
Okay.
have to choose one of them.
Okay,
Okay, here we go.
all right.
Dog or cat?
Dog,
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Phone call or text?
Ooh, text.
Even with your mom?
Not with my mom, no. 80% text, 20% phone call.
Fair enough.
Facebook or Twitter?
Both, probably.
okay.
Sorry, Facebook.
Okay,
I'll say
all right,
Facebook.
all right.
Since I can only have one. I'm a rule follower.
Okay. While out for a walk or in your car and you have a car ride,
Yes.
music or podcast?
Books, electronic books.
Oh, audiobooks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Detective mysteries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I know this next one. Country or rock?
Rock.
Ooh, I was wrong. Wait, George loves country, doesn't he?
Both, yeah. We have really eccentric tastes.
Yeah.
Like we can listen to the Black Crows and then Michael Bublé and then Eric Church and then
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Huh. Cool. Okay, big party or small gathering?
small gathering.
Really?
Yes.
Ah,
Yep.
So
I'm a secret introvert.
you are.
Yeah.
Oh, does that take a lot of work?
Yes. Yep.
Man, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm an obnoxious extrovert.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, can you believe it? So I'm all bigger the party, the better. So I had to throw this one in. Car or truck?
Truck. Truck wish. Car have.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what kind of truck? If you were the queen of the forest,
Yep.
what
A
kind?
sparkly red GMC Sierra.
Oof. Okay.
Sparkly.
Yeah, sparkly. Lots of chrome. Sparkly
Nice.
paint.
Okay.
That is so cool. Okay, what's worse, laundry or dishes?
Showers are the worst.
Show-
But if I
Ooh.
have to say one of them, I would say laundry.
Laundry. Okay. Online shopping or shopping in a store?
Online. Unless I'm with my mom Christmas shopping. But I'm only supposed to pick one. So
Yeah, there you go. And finally, last one, sweater or hoodie?
sweater.
Sweater.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hoodies all the way.
You're a hoodie?
Yeah.
I don't think I have enough hoodies.
When you have these short little Ewok arms, it's hard to get them to fit inside the sleeves of a hoodie.
Fair enough.
Okay, so tell us a little bit, what's it like to be a 40-year-old leader
Yeah.
in a community, in this community, and the 38th largest school district? What's that? I mean, you're 40 years old. I
Yeah.
mean, how many other 40-year-old school superintendents are there? Not not just in our state, but just
Yeah.
around the country. So what's that like?
Yeah, there's a handful. It's there's so many emotions and feelings. So it's humbling. It's also pressure because I see my responsibility is even greater than the school district. I feel like, this is my community and I love my community. And I understand that the kids I'm working with today are tomorrow's elected officials, business owners, community leaders, teachers, medical providers. So that's what an amazing opportunity that I get to have a say in the future of the community by the work I'm doing with students. At the same time, I also feel very responsible for our community and where it is right now. Having a front row seat to the lives of children, I have a very deep awareness of the challenges in our community and how they're impacting children. And so I'm taking on and want the responsibility of, so how do we also meet the needs of our community, which will impact the lives of children, which impacts all of our future. Living here 35 out of 40 years, I'm going to be here. So I want to contribute to making tomorrow better than today, both with the work that we do with kids every single day, but also in the work we do with other community leaders. I mean, I think about just the last couple of weeks. I'm sitting in a room with a pastor and the police chief and an executive from the hospital and a judge and a business owner and economic development and all these people, and we're sitting around the table saying, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to take on some major issues. We're going to take on methamphetamine. We're going to take on the Mexican cartel, and we're going to do it out of love of our community. And what an amazing opportunity to get to be able to do that.
Yeah, man, that's what I just I love watching that in you and being around you, because you just every time I hang out with you and our community leaders, it's like, you want to be a part of that. You're so energized. And so why don't we talk about that a little bit? Because you and I have been, for a year now, we've been on the core team, and talk about, you mentioned meth. So why don't you just kind of, for those who are listening and watching, explain kind of what's happening and what you and I have been a part of and where we're at today with it.
Yeah. So in the past 5 years in Chippewa County, we have seen meth referrals to the district attorney increase by 256%. We've seen children being removed from the home. That has increased by 193%. And so over the last 5 years, we have seen this poison coming into our community. And meth is, not that there are any good drugs out there, but meth is so dangerous. I mean, meth is the enemy. People can be addicted after one use, and it gives people who are using it feelings of superhuman strength, and then they don't sleep, but they're also not caring for their children. When drug use increases, so does other crimes like theft, because getting money to buy more drugs. And so what we're seeing happening from the school district side, we are seeing kids come into the schools with adverse childhood experiences. So when a child experiences something traumatic, so a significant life event, it impacts their cognitive, social, and emotional development. So in the schools, we're seeing kids struggling with emotional problems. And especially when they're little, emotions they're abstract. A little child can't explain what they're feeling. They don't have the words for it. So they might be withdrawing. They might be acting out. They might be afraid. They might cry more easily. They might not want to leave school. We're seeing children's basic needs not being met. With the help of amazing partners within the school, we are putting in dental sealants. We have on-site chiropractic, vision screening, sending food home on the weekends, clothing, free mental health counseling, not just for our students, but their families.
Yeah.
So
that's man, that key, that piece right there.
Yes. Yep. Because it's not only helping children cope today, it's also hopefully contributing to prevention of drug use in the future. And so the work of the core team with the faith community and the business community and the healthcare community is all of us coming together and saying, this is a huge problem and it's very complicated. And no one agency can take it on alone. So the faith community is going to tackle it from the faith perspective. The education community is going to tackle it from the education perspective, and we'll each do our part in a coordinated fashion to attack it from all angles. It's our only hope of even having a chance is really powerful.
Yeah, and it's just been so fun, or not fun. That's when we're talking about this, but it's been so powerful and moving to see how many people, and that probably describes this community the best, is how when we have a challenge and we're sitting there thinking, how are we going to take care or combat this challenge or get over this hurdle, this community really rallies together. And one of the things the judge, it always sticks with me, is when Judge Gibbs said, if we don't get ahead of this meth epidemic, it's going to take the city down. And
100%.
I'm like, whoa, okay, we got to get serious about this.
100%.
So really, there's really no pressure.
No, not at all.
In what you do.
No big deal.
And, that's kind of, man.
But none of this I do alone. I mean, I'm one small piece of an amazing community.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. In our school district, with the teachers and faculty, the people in the trenches is just phenomenal. So what's up? So you highlighted things that I imagine that you could go back and explain that these are the driving force. They give you life. But what would be your favorite part of your job?
Yeah. A lot of what we just talked about of seeing progress. The work is hard, but I also believe it's more important than ever. So my job, and sometimes the line blurs of my job in my life, but I get to feel a sense of purpose. I get to feel like I'm creating something bigger than myself, and that's so gratifying. And not everybody has that. So getting to meet people and getting to be in the community more is awesome. I was very hesitant to become a superintendent because I'm pretty sure being a middle school principal is the best job in the whole entire world. And I was very hesitant to leave that. But that's one of the biggest differences. As a principal, you have your school community, and as the superintendent, I get to be part of the greater community, and that's awesome.
What's the one thing, okay, now that you 40, what's the one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
Yeah.
Because you've been the school superintendent for how long?
5 years.
5 years, okay. So 5 years in, what's the one thing you wish you had known?
Yeah, I would say give myself a little more grace. My first year, I had no clue what I was doing. And it's slowly gotten slightly better. But that first year, I was hard on myself. Yeah. My second year, and even honestly, my fifth year, some days I leave thinking, yeah, we won the day. And some days I leave feeling completely incompetent. Yeah. And I think from the beginning, I needed to give myself a little more grace and say, it's okay, you're still learning. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up, because after about the second year, I honestly didn't know if I was going to continue. Yeah. I was probably about 50-50. I just wasn't sure that I had done the right thing, but I also trusted the person. So becoming superintendent was not my plan. I had a 10-year plan. I was going to be assistant principal for 10 years, going to be principal for 10 years, maybe be a superintendent someday at the end of my career. And I was approached to apply for the position by someone who knew I didn't have any experience, knew I was pretty young to be taking on a role, knew that it's really unusual for a Division I school district to be run by somebody with no experience. But when he came to me and he asked me to apply, he said, I need to leave Chippewa Falls in the hands of somebody who loves our kids and loves our community as much as I do. Wow. And I had enough respect for him and enough love for him that I thought, Jim would not come and ask me to do this if it wasn't the right thing to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's powerful. Yeah. That's really powerful. Mm-hmm. That's, sometimes it's cliche, but oftentimes the biggest people who critique us is ourselves, and it's hard to find grace, especially when you're a leader and there's so much pressure and there's so many eyes watching you and people saying, can she do that? Yeah. Can he do that? It's tough. It's really tough. So, and personal responsibility too. Yeah. Like, hey, let's take on the Mexican cartel, and oh gracious, are we really going to do that? What advice would you give somebody that would wants to pursue a career in
administration or become the next superintendent after you, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, lead with your heart. In this position, I use strategy and logic and problem solving every single day. But what keeps me coming back day after day, even after the hardest days, is love for the community, love for people. I mean, you have to have unconditional love for people, because sometimes when people are upset or hurting or struggling with something completely unrelated, you're the safe person that they're going to take it out on. So you have to have an unconditional love for people, and just take the next step and take the next step. So education and leadership in any area and superintendency, you have to have heart for it.
Yeah, heart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how do you handle the criticism?
Yeah. It's gotten a little easier as I've gotten older. When those first few years as a superintendent, as an assistant principal starting off, it was hard. It was really hard. And I think because I was young in that role too, so I don't know if I felt like I needed to prove something, or I was just not confident really early on then either, but it used to literally keep me up at night if somebody was upset with me or things like that. And today I think I've learned more about people and have understood that everybody copes differently, and a lot of times I deserve the criticism and sometimes I don't, and that's just part of it.
And sometimes it's not even meant to be personal.
No,
but we internalize it.
Exactly. A leader that I'd worked for a couple of years ago used the metaphor. He said, the higher up the flagpole you go, the harder you feel the wind blowing. And so it's just part of it.
I'm gonna have to remember that.
Yeah,
that's a really good one.
Yep.
Cool. So challenges. I mean, we talked about meth and we've talked about mental health and all that. What would you think is the biggest challenge right now facing Chippewa Falls School District, facing many or a majority of the school districts today?
Yeah. Yep. There's a couple of things. There's challenges with, from the education standpoint, trying to play offense and defense at the same time. So you're trying to react to challenges like behavior issues and methamphetamine and adverse childhood experiences and all the things that are harming our kids. So we're trying to play defense and protect them and take care of that. At the same time, we're not doing our kids any favors if we don't teach them how to read and don't teach them how to problem solve. And so we're teaching relationships and we're supporting them, and we're doing all of those, what some people might say are not academic things. We're doing all of that. But at the same time, in our school district, unlike the rest of the state of Wisconsin, we're seeing increases in student achievement. And I actually think the fact that we are providing mental health services and we are training teachers in trauma-informed care and mental health first aid, I think those skills among our teachers are actually contributing. It's not taking away from, it's contributing to our academic gains as well.
Yeah. What's the I wanted to ask this question because I just learned so much in this community and being a part of all this. And Rose Bar has, what's that thing that they set up that parents can go through the
hidden in plain sight room.
Yeah, hidden in plain sight room. And I saw that and I was like, man, this is crazy. And I started getting anxious because I'm going to have a high schooler someday soon. And but what's the craziest, weirdest, whatever you want to share with us, thing that you've had to confiscate at high school? I'm blown away at the things that you have to be aware of now.
Good. I would love to know if you have any other principals who've had to do this. So the weirdest thing I confiscated was 2 pigs.
2 pigs? Wait.
Yep, 2 pigs.
What now?
2 pigs. Yep. So what happened was one of the in Durand, the senior prank day was legendary. And so, we had rules, 1 day, and it can't be harmful. So it can't be anything that'll get somebody sick or anything like that. And so I'm in my office with a student and I hear the receptionist say, "What? What do you mean send her down? What do you mean there's pigs in the hallway?" So I get up and she's like, "They need you in the hallway. There's pigs in the hallway." Surely this is a misunderstanding. I get down there and the senior prank, as soon as I saw it, I thought, it's senior prank day. So there were 2 little pigs, with one had a 1 spray painted on it and one had a 3 spray painted on it. And at first I went, and I thought, nope, there's probably no 2. But it's an agricultural community, so I kind of stood there. I felt bad because they were so scared. One was like licking the other one's ear, and they were scared. So just called down to the ag room. Hey, you got any guys down there who know how to catch pigs? Well, yeah, I do. So they came down. They caught the pigs. We put them in like big empty garbage cans and took them to some place where you buy baby pigs. And then at the end of the day, we made an announcement saying, you're not in trouble. You know, it's senior prank day. It was fine. It was harmless. But if you want your baby pigs back, here's where you can pick them up. So
that is
baby pigs.
Baby pigs.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh man.
It's a great story.
So if you weren't in education,
Yeah.
what do you think you'd be doing as a career then?
Yeah, so I actually know this answer. So this year, we adopted this web-based career portfolio. It's an academic and career plan for all of our students, 6-12. And you go through these activities. We have a scope and sequence, 6th through 12th grade. It's everything from what are your interests, what are your aptitudes, where do they intersect, what kind of a career is meant for you. So I thought, well, in order to understand what our students are going to do, I'm going to try it. So I did all the inventories, and my number 1 career was a judge, followed by a lawyer, followed by a corporate strategist, and then really low in my spare time, I was supposed to give martial arts lessons.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know anything about martial arts.
Can you combine all those together, though?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a kung fu judge.
You're out of order. You're out of order.
I like it.
Martial arts. That is awesome. All right. Let's move into the city because you've been here for 35 years.
Yes.
You obviously have a huge heart for the city.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, what makes Chippewa Falls great?
Yeah. It's really interesting because I grew up and still technically live in the village of Lake Hallie. But one of the neat things about Chippewa is there's about 10 municipalities that if you live there, you're from Chippewa. Jim Falls likes to be from Jim Falls, but for the most part, you're from Chippewa. And so that's what really makes us neat, though, is when I talk to people about our school district, which is really just a subset of the greater community, is we're big enough that we have a lot of opportunities. So I work in a Division I school district. We had like 900 college credits earned last year by our students. We had 16 AP classes. We have a state championship equestrian team and Division I sports and foreign languages, and we have a robotics team. We have all these opportunities, but because Chippewa Falls is about 13,000 people, we have a small town feel. So I know people's names and I know their families, and if you ask enough questions, you find that you're connected to people. There's a comfort, there's that we help each other, we come together, but at the same time, we're big enough that we have opportunities, and I think that makes us extremely special.
Yeah. So that's what we've been asking we'll be asking our guests is I've heard it described 2 ways. Is Chippewa a big town with a small town feel, or is it a small town with a big town feel?
That's a good question.
I don't know. What did you say? What did you and Tiffany when you moved up here from?
I think we said that it's
from Indy.
I think we said it's a small town with a big town feel.
I'm finding that when I ask people that, most of them, if they've come from a large city, they'll say,
which we have, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. What so how did it's date night, and you and George get to have a night out, nothing's going on. Where is your favorite place to go grab a bite to eat here in Chippewa?
So we are supper club people.
Oh,
yeah.
Supper club.
Nice.
Yep. So if it's my choice, I always call it my birthday restaurant 'cause that's where we go on my birthday. I'll be at Loopy's High Shores.
All right.
Because it checks my supper club boxes of having a salad bar with Thousand Island dressing.
Yes.
And spreadable cheese.
And it's got this. Okay, so it's the legit salad bar with the
Salad
sneeze
bar.
splash guard.
Yes.
Awesome.
Homemade Thousand Island.
Homemade out at Loopy's Supper Club.
Yes,
Shout out to
sir.
Loopy's Supper Club. That is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah. Go to Loopy's.
I need to go to the supper club one. Never been there.
Yeah.
I've only been to regular Loopy's.
Yeah.
You've been,
So.
but what was the supper club you hit up? Connell's?
Yeah,
Connell's
that's the
is
only one
good,
I've been
yeah.
to.
Connell's.
But I don't think they had a salad bar though.
Nope. But
Yeah.
Old Abe's does. Old Abe's in Jim Falls
I haven't
also
been there.
has a salad bar.
So so you go to Loopy's supper club. What's your go-to order at the supper club?
At Loopy's, I'm going to get a steak with mushrooms and their roasted cauliflower.
Yum.
And if you're there on Saturday night, you have to get prime rib.
Prime rib.
And if you're there on Friday, you have to get the fish fry.
Yeah.
You know, kind of depends on what night of the week it is. But no matter what, you have to get the salad bar.
We're hungry again.
Yeah, no, sounds good.
That's okay. What's your favorite fun thing to do or fun place to go to in Chippewa?
Yeah. So in the summer, like I mentioned, we'll be out on Lake Wissota or on the river just floating. Anywhere where we can walk around, hike around. My mom and I would run or walk through Irvine Park a lot. It's just a beautiful park. I feel very safe running through there. But I am Buddy the Elf in terms of my love for Christmas.
Okay.
So once everything's up and going, then if I get to pick what we're doing, then we're going to drive through Christmas Village and listen to the music. We've developed tradition where after Christmas Eve service, which is Christmas Eve is my favorite day of the whole entire year.
Yep.
After Christmas Eve, we always drive through Christmas Village, and I think that is something that I don't know if I take it for granted because it's always been here because I still find marvel in it. But,
Yeah.
As a kid, where CISA 10 is now, that was an old roller skating rink with a wood floor. So as a kid, that's where we'd have gone to spend time. But now it's can't roller skate there anymore.
So how do you pronounce it? Irvine or Irvin?
It's Irvin is technically correct, but I think we in Chippewa Falls only figured that out like 2 years ago. So if you're not being conscious of it, you'll hear Irvine.
That's awesome. And so you're pretty close to your family.
Very.
So you do as much as you possibly can, right? Vacations.
Yes.
Where do you guys like to go?
Disney World. Now that we're like a 3-generation family,
Okay.
last December, it was the whole family went to Disney World. And I think everybody thought it was awesome, except for maybe George, but everybody thought it was awesome. But I do have some amazing pictures of our little nephew, Jack, who loves his Uncle Gorge very much. So we did that in December, but my mom and we've gone to Florida together. When I've had to travel for work, she's my travel buddy, and she'll fly to Madison, or she'll go out of state with me. So we've been all over as a family.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like to go to any kind of festivals or any kind of things that are happening around the Chippewa Valley, particularly in Chippewa?
Yeah, yep. It all depends on what's being like. We haven't done the music festivals because when you're married to a police officer, he doesn't really like crowds.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but we'll hit up local festivals like Oktoberfest, or I thought what was done for Pure Water Days this year was lights out.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was a really fun weekend. And then the back to school bash downtown on September 27th, where it was like movie under the stars.
Yep.
Anytime you bring the community together, for me, it doesn't have to be fancy. Just bringing people together, and there's music and there's food and there's interactions. Those are some of the things that we've been taking in.
Yeah. How would you bump into somebody, say, in a different state, you're out in Oregon or something, and they say, oh, Chippewa, what's Chippewa like? How would you describe Chippewa to someone who has no clue where it's even located, let alone in Wisconsin?
Yep. I say it's the best kept secret around. I tell them it's 90 minutes east of the city, so it's really close to bigger cultural opportunities.
Yep.
And I've described it as hometown USA, especially with the amazing development happening on our main street, Bridge Street down here. It's a quaint, kind, supporting, just small town USA. It's an amazing place. And I see now at this point in my life, I see more people I grew up with who are moving back here with their families and really having an appreciation for this is a great place to live. People still feel safe. They know each other's names. Great place to raise your kids. There's as many opportunities as you want to become involved in.
Right. I always find it fascinating. You probably hear this too, like graduating seniors. They'll be like, oh, I cannot wait to get out of this place.
Here.
So I'm like, where are you going to school? Whitewater. But anyways, but they go to the next phase of their life, and sure enough, it doesn't take long before, you hear some transfer back, or you hear they graduate and they want to get back, and they get their first job in the cities, and they're like, this is kind of cool, but I want to get back and all that, because I think what I think Tiffany, Clay's wife, said it like, to describe Chippewa is like, you can't go to like the grocery store and just quick run in, because the Midwest niceness, just that niceness that's around this culture, and you bump into anyone and everyone who knows you, and so like a quick 10-minute run to the grocery store turns into an hour,
right?
And I can't imagine with you guys and the positions you're in, it's probably madness. You go into any restaurant and you probably recognize everybody. I mean, that's how it was when we first met you. We'd go to get coffee and everybody knew you, and we're like, this is weird.
Yeah. It's it's not too bad. I mean, most times people give the benefit of the doubt, but you go places and you 9 chances out of 10 you're going to run into somebody, and
we're getting that way too. I mean, we've only lived here for a year and a half, but we're starting to like recognize people, and there's certain places like Chippewa Family Restaurant. Anytime I go in there, I at least can recognize somebody just from church. So, but that's part of the small town thing, I think.
Yeah. So. One of the things you and I have talked about, and we've done a presentation on, and I want to hear a little bit more about this, but there's a unique partnership between the faith communities in Chippewa and the school district. And I'll just use us, not to gloat, but we have that partnership with Parkview Elementary, in which we adopted them and so forth. And so talk a little bit about that, because oftentimes the myth is you have to have a hard concrete line drawn in the sand that says you can't, none of these two, faith and public schools, cannot even talk. But you and I we did a presentation on this myth, and just, why don't you just talk a little bit about that, but then highlight just how awesome it is in this community where everybody collaborates together, and there's no like, everybody's for everybody.
Yes, exactly. It's been, I didn't realize what the misunderstanding was until I started talking to people in other communities or other superintendents who were like, what do you mean the pastors were in your church? What do you mean they came to your crisis meeting? What do you mean that they did a fundraiser and bought things for your schools? They can't do that. And well, actually they can,
and they did.
Yeah. And I think there's an assumption like you can't say the word church, or you can't wear that cross necklace. You're violating the law, and there are limits, and you have to have the moral courage and take the time to study the law, understand and respect the limits, but also understand the opportunities, because a school should be a reflection of the greater community. So faith is a part of our community values. And so having partnerships as a public school system within the boundaries of the law is not only appropriate and legal, but it should be embraced. And so we've had the amazing opportunity to develop these partnerships like the one with Central and Parkview. That's exemplary. That's a model. I mean, sometimes when we talk about it, we're trying to figure out how to be a good partner in return. And we don't just want to be the takers, but we want to be the givers as well. And so knowing the establishment clause and understanding equal access clause and understanding, the lines of where someone's rights end and another person's begin. So no, pastors, they can't come into our schools and pray with our kids. That's illegal. And if we cross that line, we would ruin our opportunity to have a relationship. But there are so many other ways, interacting with staff, interacting with students, pastors working with pastors supporting the community. We've had staff do fundraisers to try to give back, and collections to give back, to participate in. Oh, the church is doing a collection, let's collect too. One of the most amazing things I've seen is I got a little heads up and got to have a sneak peek when Pastor came in and celebrated our staff and did kind of like Oprah's favorite things and did giveaways for the staff. And we had staff members crying to have somebody from the community coming in and supporting them, because they get compassion fatigue supporting the kids and their needs, and all of a sudden it's oh wait, they're for us. They're supporting us.
You can't pour energy and life into students and children if you don't have it. And you can get drained so quick. And what's really cool is we just received and we're showing this in worship, we just received a video from the Parkview staff thanking us for that, and it's a really cool 1-minute video. But then we roped off, because we heard they're coming, we roped off a whole row of seats because they wanted to come to our 10 o'clock worship and be there to show that mutual thanks for supporting us. We also want to support you and what you do as well. And it's just so, and that's the thing that really drives Central Lutheran is for far too long churches have been known for what we're against, and we want to be known for what we're for. And so we're for the school district, we're for Chippewa Falls, we're for you. Everything that happens is just amazing. And it's easy to just, there's that gravitational pull to the prideness of this community and what we're about here in Chippewa Falls. So thank you so much. You're a busy woman. And Dr. Heidi, I want to just thank you for being with us. It's so great. And this is episode 1.
Yeah.
Episode 1. You get it,
That's
so
awesome.
maybe in a couple years from now, when we're at episode like 400, we can be like, remember, bring you back on as a second time and be like, remember, we were so young then. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So, but episode 1, thank you so much. And for all those of you who are listening online, or if you're watching online as well, we just want to thank you for being a part of our podcast today, and to make sure that you subscribe to the Everybody's Welcome podcast, whether it's on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you consume your podcast. Please find us and subscribe to this. So again, thank you to Dr. Heidi. I am your host, Aaron Sturgis, with our producer, Clay. Thank you again, and we will see you next time.